It's all fun and games until you get kicked out of Disneyland. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 ways you can get kicked out of Disneyland, so stick around, that way you don't.
Get kicked out, that is.
Hello everybody, welcome to RTD Adventures. My name is Brian.
I'm Jacob.
And we are talking about ways that you can get kicked out of Disneyland. It is important to know the rules, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to go and have a great time, but there are some ridiculous ways that people can actually get kicked out of the parks and possibly, if it's bad enough, never be let back again. Don't make that mistake and listen to the end so you don't make the same ones.
Just don't be that person.
All right, so starting off our list, we're gonna talk about using someone else's ticket. This is actually expressly prohibited in Disney's official rules when you purchase a ticket. This one will actually be kind of difficult to do as well, but
especially now.
Yeah, especially now. But this is basically when you use your ticket and you scan in for the first time, the ticket's not only tied to your name, but they take a picture of you, and Disney has your profile created in the system for that specific ticket. So tickets are also not transferable. That means if you use your ticket and you leave the park, someone else can't come back and use the same ticket. They can't even come back the next day and use that same ticket. So each person has to have their own. This one is just not worth your time trying to cheat the system with. Just don't do it.
Okay. Another way to get you kicked out of the park, especially if you keep doing it, is sneaking onto rides. Now, there's a few ways you can, a few ways we don't want you going about doing this, but it includes, like cutting in line, trying to sneak that kid in line of yours that didn't actually meet the height requirement. They are there for safety, not to make your kid angry. So just make sure you explain to your kids if they don't, measure up, they can't go on the ride.
And technically, you're not even supposed to be able to save spots in line for other people. This one's kind of a pet peeve of mine. People get away with this. Don't be that person. All right, next up on the list is getting out of the ride vehicle. This one can not only get you kicked out of the parks, but is really dangerous.
It could hurt you.
So sometimes people feel compelled to, when a ride is stopped, stand up and get out of the ride vehicle to pass the time.
Small World.
On Small World, on Pirates of the Caribbean. Somebody's done that recently, actually. You can look up all sorts of news stories where people are just being idiotic, quite frankly. This is not something you should do. If you even stand up on a ride, it's enough to make the ride stop, because there's cameras all over the attractions and cast members are monitoring for your safety. If that happens, the ride will just stop completely, and if the offense is bad enough, you can actually get kicked out and possibly kicked out for a while.
Yeah.
So just don't be that person. Don't get off the ride vehicles. Stay in your seat.
Don't ruin the ride for other people. Another way to get yourself in trouble and most likely kicked out of Disneyland, going backstage without permission. Now, there's lots of right ways to do this, and like including guided tours where they show you the behind the magic, and usually they don't give too much away when it comes behind the magic, but there's a lot of history behind that too. There's a path that like right next to the Coca-Cola corner where the fireworks are ending that you can take. It kind of has some like vintage posters back there, but it's like this pathway that goes behind it, behind those shops to help you get out of the traffic that comes with fireworks ending. Make sure you do not sneak around and try to get backstage.
If you're going backstage without permission, you're just trying to sneak your way back there, there's some pretty stiff consequences.
Yeah,
not only can you get kicked out of the parks, but you could be faced with legal charges for trespassing. So this one is absolutely not worth your time. Just like anything else on this list, don't do it. All right, here's an obvious one: shoplifting. This is something that, I know Disneyland is expensive. You might be tempted that you run out of money on your last day and you just want that one more souvenir. Don't try it, right? There's cameras everywhere in the shops. You are not gonna get away with it. And what's even worse, just like the last one, maybe you'll get kicked out. Well, you'll definitely get kicked out, but you might also get faced with legal charges. This one is a criminal offense, so don't do it. You will be having to talk with the police.
Yeah, not the Disney police, the real police. Now, another thing that could get you into some big trouble and possibly kicked out of the park as well is getting drunk on Disney property. Now, what I'm talking about is, actually, drinking alcohol within the parks, which is a little more difficult, obviously, in Disneyland, except, apart from like Oga's Cantina and maybe Club 33, if you, could get in there. This might apply more to like DCA, but if they see you visibly, drunk, acting, out of the ordinary too, they may ask you to actually leave too. I know they have, the seasonal events where they serve alcohol, and I know they serve alcohol throughout DCA. Just don't get drunk there. Just don't do that. It might obviously ruin, the trip for other people that are there as well.
And when they kick you out of the park for this one, it kind of depends on the offense. If you look like you're just visibly drunk and you're not really causing too much of a distraction, they could ask you to leave and then come back when you sober up. But when you're drinking in the parks, I like a drink as much as the next guy, but just follow a couple simple rules to make sure that you're not getting yourself in trouble, right? Don't drink on an empty stomach. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water, and then space the drinks out throughout the day so you're not piling those up, right? Reduce the risk of embarrassing yourself, and just, take care of yourself not to get drunk.
They're also really expensive, so I would definitely space out those drinks.
Okay, so maybe the most morbid one on the list here is scattering your loved one's ashes in the parks. As weird as it sounds, it actually does happen. Okay, weird random fact, the most common place it happens is the Haunted Mansion. But don't do it, right? Because not only will this get you kicked out of the parks, it's kind of gross too.
That's disgusting.
And Disneyland is really on top of their cleaning procedures, so odds are your loved one
will be washed away.
Yeah, they're gonna be washed away. They're not gonna be in the parks that long anyways before they get sucked up by a vacuum. So don't even bother with that, right? Leave your loved one's ashes at home.
Please.
If they want to be sprinkled somewhere else, not
in Disneyland,
whatever. But this one's just a weird one that I don't even know why it's on the list. But for some reason, people do it. So just make sure you're not one of those.
I'm glad it's on the list. That's weird. Don't do that. All right. Another one is smoking. Now, smoking used to be. You used to be able to smoke in the parks. They had designated areas for that, but they've done away with that. And this does include vaping. So that also includes vaping. So there's no smoking anywhere on the premises of Disney property. If you do get caught smoking, they will ask you to leave. Now, if you feel, if you do have to smoke, you can step off the property and definitely do so, but you cannot do so on Disney property. So make sure you know that.
Fighting.
Ow!
Now I know what you're thinking. How can anybody possibly get into a fight at the happiest place on earth? You know what? Disneyland is not your typical vacation. It is not a relaxing vacation in the typical sense. It can be quite stressful.
Yeah.
You're spending a lot of money to make sure you've got the best vacation ever, and things don't always go to plan, okay? What you need to make sure you're not doing though, like we said earlier, don't get drunk, right? Don't let that anger flare up. And just control yourself. If you feel like you're the sort of person that loses her temper easily, you might want to try to work on that a little bit before you go to Disneyland.
Or rethink your vacation.
Right? Go to a beach somewhere and just lay down. When you're at Disneyland, you need to make sure that you're following these rules because fighting can get you kicked out really quickly, obviously. Don't ruin the vacation for somebody else if you're just having a bad day. Take a deep breath, right? Go over some anger exercises. I'm sure there's a million other YouTube videos where you can learn how to control that. But fighting is expressly prohibited in Disneyland. This has been a problem in the parks recently. Make sure that you're not part of that problem.
Yeah. I forgive you for hitting me. Dun, dun. Boo, you stink.
Don't be like this guy. We are not going to be wanting to harass cast members or characters. All right, these guys and gals are doing their very best to bring you the most magical experience possible. I understand that your day might not be going the way you thought it would be, but trust me, that cast member in front of you is not the source of that problem. So just take a step back and treat them with respect. I promise you, they're doing everything they can to make the most of your day.
Okay, so I know some of these seem pretty obvious, but it's interesting to know because someone had to have done it at least once to get kicked out. But let us know in the comments below, which one of these do you think was the most outrageous?
You know what, you guys, we really appreciate you watching this video. We really appreciate any of the support that you guys have been giving to us. We're going to be linking some more videos on the screen for a playlist that's going to help you with more Disneyland tips. If you guys are interested in learning more about these Disneyland tips, we're going to be bringing videos to you each and every week. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, like this video. These things go a long way to helping us bring more of this content your way. Once again, you guys, we appreciate you hanging around. And as always,
thanks for watching.